Here today. And today we're going to take a look at is this difference between gifts and givers and trying to understand that in a more full way. So as we go into this season, which is a season deservedly so called a season of giving, we can also really sort of work it upstream to realize how important it is to both understand gifts and to also understand this idea of a giver and what does that really mean. I want to start out by saying this. If we get totally enamored with gifts in our spiritual life, it can actually sort of take the focus and sort of skew the focus, put God out of focus, put on different focus. I don't know, whatever phrase you want to use there. And I think about a group that really can go overboard with the whole God gives good gifts kind of perspective, which would be a prosperity gospel perspective, that health and wealth is simply because I've prayed right, I've done the right things, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just not true. Not true. I think it's a very dangerous way to view spirituality. I think it allows churches to manipulate people in ways that are totally unhealthy, and I just thoroughly disagree with it. I don't see that in the Christian message in Jesus's life at all. So it's one of those ones I'm probably a little more about than I should be, but there you go. There you have it. And that's kind of this deep orientation, just God gives good gifts, period. If you do life the right way, you get these good gifts, period, end of story. And those gifts are physical manifestations, health and wealth. And that's a dangerous thing. And I think more and more what we have to do is we sort of have to bump those gifts back from physical manifestations, which on occasion we are blessed with physical things. But let's bump it back into seeing these gifts as more of a spiritual thing. The joy in our heart, the peace in our heart, the love in our heart. Like keep coming back to that, keep touching that again and again and again and again. That circle back again and again and again and again. We want to touch that. And then we want it to help us get in touch with this idea of the giver, who God really is. Like, what is this giving that God does and how does it work? And it's not kind of like a transactional thing. Like here we are over on this side of things, and God's going to give us the gift when we do it right, sort of like a cookie. And that's not to say there aren't gifts when we do things right. I mean, obviously there are, but it's not really the point, right? That I think when God sets up this idea of being givers, and this is the giver setting us up to be givers, it's much more like this example that my dear friend Corey shared with me yesterday. So the example he shared with me yesterday was something his wife has been doing with community service. Very simple little app, and it's an app that is for blind people. And what they can do on this app is people sign up for this app who are blind, and people sign up for this app who can help them. And so what happens is that these people call this number on their phone, people who are blind, and then they turn on their phone camera and they said, what am I looking at? And the person in a very quick conversation is able to go, what you're looking at is this. And he used the example of a computer problem. Somebody was having an issue with their computer. They called up his wife. She took the call. He has his phone on. He has his camera going. And he's like, what happens when I press? What are you seeing on the screen? What happens with this button and that button? Within a few minutes, they'd figured it out. I think that's much more the kind of gift giving that God gives. God kind of moves it way upstream. And what's the gift there? Well, the gift there is a system of connection, and the gift there is a system of help. The gift there is a system of relationship. And when those relationships start to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, boy, just amazing things kind of echo out from that, from that gift. And that's I think, friends, where we really, really want to focus is we want to focus on that gift and those deeper gifts of relationality and sort of go back to the giver part. And can we be part of being a giver in that? Because I think then we're really bringing as in heaven, so upon the earth. We're really trying to bring God's presence into the world. And I think God kind of sets all that up as a way that is true giving. I mean, who would hear about an app like that and not think that's a great idea? I mean, I'm sure there's a few Scrooges out there who might, but I'm looking at it thinking, that's awesome. That is terrific. And I'm so glad there are people out there who are thinking that way. And I think because that's the way I think God thinks. He's thinking, how do I get person over here to relate to person over here? And how do I get them to help each other? Because I guarantee, right? We all know this. You field a call from somebody who's blind, and you help them out with something. Yep, you're going to help them out a lot, but guess how you're going to end up getting off of that phone call in a pretty darn good mood. So there are the gifts right there. There are the gifts, and it's so different than the health and wealth gospel, right? Because the health and wealth would say the person was blind because they didn't pray hard enough, or their parents sinned, or whatever, and if they just prayed, they get over that. Like, I mean, folks, come on. Like, that's not that's not the way it works. Not the way it works at all. So that's the thought for today is, think about gifts. What are the actual real gifts? And then bump it up even more. And what does it mean to give? And who are the real givers? And how do we get reality both in gifts and reality both in givers? And that reality is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it can add a whole new way to see Christmas this year. So that is the thought, my friends. I hope that makes a lot of sense. And what we're going to do now, as we always do, is now we're going to come in on our general landing here at New Church Live. What we do is we do a little meditation from the Old Testament, prayer from the New Testament, and then a little blessing back from the Old. And then we'll say hi to our friends who are joining us on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Meditation from the Old Testament. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, a quick little cheery hello to everyone who was able to join us this morning. Just waiting for this to load. All right. Oh, and the other quick reminder for everybody is Susan and I are having a little party, this little open house, holiday open house this Christmas, and we are doing it at Saturday at 6 p.m. Again, hope you can make it. You are more than welcome to. You can text me or shoot me a note, and I will give you further instructions. All right. All right. Let's see here. Melissa, good morning to you, my friend. And happy Friday. Yes, it is a good Friday. Marcus, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Chignoni writes, very well said. Prosperity gospel is a hellish trap. It makes us materialistic and not able to receive anything from the Lord through heaven. True gifts are goodness based on love, an understanding of genuine truths, and a life according to God's commandments. That is about as well said as one could make it, Chignoni. That is beautiful. And Jean, good morning. Every day is a gift. It really is. It really is. It's that old, it's such a bad cliche, but it's so good because it's so accurate. The present is the present. Is silly, but totally true. Totally, totally true. And I'll close with Chignoni's last words there. Have a lovely weekend, all. Take care, friends. Have a blessed weekend, and we will see you on Sunday at New Church Live. Take care. Bye-bye. Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining support